another edition of Halftime Chat, and especially the live editions, which are really good to be able to do because it gives you guys an opportunity to even ask questions from the guests as well. But it's good. It's great that I'm actually getting to speak to an R&B artist that is present today. I know most of you over the last 5 years are used to speaking to some of our old school R&B acts who talked about their past, but it's important to be able to hear about what's happening in music today. So, bringing in a special talent and a special voice, Elijah Blake, and he's going to be talking about not just his career and his new album that's just been released in a few months ago, but also he's written for some big artists from Usher, Rihanna, um, Keisha Cole, and others. So it's going to be great to talk to him and hear about his journey. So I'm going to bring in Elijah. How are you doing, sir?
How are you? I'm great. I'm great.
Yes, yes, I'm doing good. As I said, as I was introducing to our guest, that the channel was formed by focusing and celebrating a lot of our old school R&B acts from the 80s and 90s, and so
Mm.
and some 2000s. But it's good to be able to see what's happening here and now, and let not only celebrate the past but also the present. So it's a privilege to be able to have you on today.
Thank you. I just got done doing a song with my sister. I'm actually in the studio with Jordan Sparks, and you'll probably see her walking in the background. But we just finished the collaboration that we're doing. So, yeah, I think that the this generation is trying to put some real W's on the board for R&B.
Yes, in fact, I saw a video you did with a guest of mine, Warren Campbell, where you were met up with him in the studio.
Yeah, man, he's one of the legends, and I couldn't close this album out and say I'm doing real R&B without going to see the ones that created um, songs that inspired me, to want to participate in this genre.
Yeah, and then Jordan Sparks, people might remember her from, I think, American X Factor. Is it no American Idol,
Yeah,
and No Air, and
yeah.
and other songs as well. But in on this channel, because I'm here in the UK and we've got an international audience, so we always like to get a little bit of a geography as to where you're sort of born and raised.
So yeah, I was born. I like to remind people that it's the island of Hispaniola. It's the island that Haiti and Dominican Republic occupy, and I'm a product of all the things that make it that.
Wow.
I came to the United States when I was 5 years old and grew up in Palm Beach County, Florida, and now I live in Los Angeles.
So, for those of us who aren't familiar, I know Dominican Republic is a U.S. colony, but Haiti isn't.
Yeah, I think Haiti is a French colony, but no, I think it's a U.S.
Okay.
colony now. I know it was, but don't give me the line on here.
Yeah, no, 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 no. So, but you said you're product of both. So, are you saying that your parents are from both countries?
Both sides of it. Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wow. Okay, and
My mother's of Dominican descent and my father's Haitian descent.
wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, growing up, then, what did you sort of identify with? And I guess for it's it's
I would say, in Caribbean culture, it's the household is often male dominant. So Haitian culture is the Haitian food, the Haitian French was my first language, Creole. Um,
wow.
yeah, I'm very much a Zoe is what we like to call it in the United States.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so you moved, so when you moved to at some states around five, what was it like being in Florida then? I mean, what did you sort of, what was that transition for you?
Um, I love everything about Florida culture. Like I'm definitely a product of Southern food, Southern humor, um, and yeah, hearing Uncle Luke and Trick Daddy and Trina growing
Okay.
up. You know what I mean? All that like is I'm very Florida. Yeah, I get reminded every day. I'm definitely a Florida boy through and through.
Wow. Then when did your music talent? Then when did it start? Then
In the church, for sure. You know, we were 7 day advances. I'm grateful. I was a little annoyed growing up, but I'm grateful my mom, she was really trying to find her place in religion. I would say we were Catholic for a little bit, then we were Baptist, then we were 7 day Adventists,
Oh,
and then my stepfather, non-denominational, but from a Pentecostal background. It just, I feel like that's why I sing the way I do. But then also Catholic melodies, and um, I think that's why my melodies are a certain type of way too. There's a formula. Now I'm appreciating all those things that make me who I am.
yeah. Wow, that's yes. I mean, you pretty much you should be a Bible scholar if you've gone through the whole gamut of most
Oh,
of the
I can
churches.
debate. I can debate with the best of them. I can debate with. There's nothing about the Bible. I go at it with Bible thumpers every day. There's nothing about the Bible that can be used to manipulate me.
Wow. But when did you find your voice? Well, how old were you?
I was 6 singing in church.
Wow, six. Oh goodness,
Hmm.
that's quite
Hmm.
early.
Yeah.
But was it done out of passion or was it done out of we need to bet you singing? I mean, how was it?
Yeah. It started off just as something to do, I would say. And then I was told I was good at it, and I was a very problematic child. So like, being told I'm good at something was
Mm,
like motivation for me to be better at it. And then I saw how music can heal people, and I just saw how it made people feel good. And that was when I said, okay, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
wow. You said you were problematic. What does that mean?
Um, I was a bad kid. I was, you know, I was very witty. I was very sarcastic. I didn't take, or I was just very rebellious. And you could see it in my art. But as a kid, when I didn't have something to channel it through, yeah, I was ready to fight with everybody.
Now I saw where you recently said, um, who was it you were talking to? I can't remember that you have ADHD.
I do.
Okay.
I
When did
do.
you get diagnosed? Or when did you get diagnosed? Or, I mean, because it can
That's the
explain
question
why
that
you.
okay, so I'm not like clinically diagnosed, but like
Okay.
when you play WebMD, like I looked it up.
Oh, web empty.
I looked it up, and so someone asked me, I was like, "Well, how do you know if you never got like properly diagnosed?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, a diagnosis if you like check off like 70% of the boxes. I literally check off every box, so I don't have, I didn't have to pay $5,000 for someone to tell me. I literally check off every box of it. I'm
Wow.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm a child psychotherapist, and we do assessments for that. So when I heard it, I think, okay, and so yeah, a lot of it would be looking at your background, checking out some of the traits, and then you can. It's quite easy to be able to say, yep, it's 100. You're pretty much there
Yeah,
before
I
having
didn't
to
miss
go for
one
the full.
box.
Okay, because that would explain the inattentivity. It will explain sort of the aggression, maybe sometimes loss of concentration. It can explain,
Mhm.
yeah, being defiant, having just
Yeah.
loads of energy and stuff.
Yep.
Um, but without people realizing that there's something there, it must have been like, what's wrong with this kid? He doesn't respect us and stuff.
Yes. And it took somebody. My stepfather had a lot of patience with me,
Wow.
and he taught me how to take something that some people could see as a disability and make it into a superpower.
Hmm. That is it. That is it. That is it. I mean, so I mean, it takes a real person to do that, and I say that as somebody who didn't get diagnosed with dyslexia until 8 years ago, doing a master's, and and then finding out, okay, I know my weakness, but I know my strengths. How
Yeah.
is it that your stepfather could see beyond that? Because actually, stepdads or step parents tend to be like, it's not my kid, and you know what, and be a little bit harsher. What was different about it, your stepdad?
Yeah, no, my pops was more, he was a gift from God. He doesn't fit any of what I've seen on TV, what I've read for of stepfathers to be, and what I've experienced in prior my experiences before him. He is a gift from God that God put on this earth to actually be. There's a lyric in my song Father Abraham on the album, and I said,
Oh, okay.
I say plants don't grow without water. I needed a daddy, but I guess a father will do. And that's what he is to me. I just, sometimes it's not, he wasn't just a dad. I think that's something that you get biologically, but a father figure teaches you how to shave, how to just be a man, and tools that you'll take for the rest of your life. And that's what my stepfather was.
Wow. You said was has he passed?
No, I'm
Okay.
saying like, I'm saying growing up, growing
Okay.
up.
Okay. I was so sorry.
Yeah, I
Okay.
forget.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Especially as and part of as a therapist, part of the reason why I started my channel really was to highlight mental health within the Black community, and getting a lot of artists who have gone through their trials talking about it and stuff, because it's still a taboo, still stigma, still something that we keep within and stuff. And to be able to see, a special person like your dad, who, your father, who kind of took his time and really nurtured you
yeah,
despite the challenges, is really important for others to listen to and think,
yeah,
okay, what could I be doing differently?
yeah, yeah. No, blood couldn't make me love him anymore, and I don't think blood would make me any more his in his eyes.
Yeah. But on the other hand, how was your mom? Did she see the patients
Oh
of
yeah,
what?
yeah. She knows how close we are, and
No, back then though.
she knew it instantly. Like it was. I was like taking him with me, whether they worked out or not. Like I was stuck with him. She knew
No, but I was
immediately.
wondering about when you were acting up because of the traits of ADHD and everywhere. Did she see like, oh, I'm sure there's something here, but I still support him? Or was it like, what's my boy
No,
doing?
she did. No, she did. But she also, it was hard. She had other kids, and I was taking up so much time from being
Yeah.
suspended from school and calling her off work to come pick me up from school. Then,
Wow.
so that was like, I do remember a point where she was like, "You need to get this together." Like I got other kids. Like I can't keep getting called off of work.
Wow. So what was it? What changed?
Like I said, music came in, and I was able to channel it somewhere. I think I still have those things in me, but I'm able to express myself in music, and I'm able
Mm.
to hold myself accountable when I hear what I write about, when I hear the stories I write about, when I hear the perspective or the approach that I take to certain scenarios in my own storytelling. I'm able to like really look at that person. It's like holding up a mirror in my songs. And I'm just kind of like, okay, let's work on this. Let's fix this. Let's dig in this. Why does this feel this way to you?
Mm. You grew up. I'm trying to think now. Were you? Did you grow up in the 80s? Or sorry, 80s, 90s, or 2000s, or what was? Because I'm just trying to see what
Mid
music
yeah,
was around.
yeah, mid '90s, early 2000s. But I even now I listen to '80s music. I wish I was born like in the late '70s so that I could have danced my way through the '80s. I do. I wish I belong in that time. I belong in that era. That's
Yeah, but I mean, most of us, the 90s felt like our type of like, oasis of just, if you think about a year like 94, we had My Life, we had Crazy Sexy Cool,
yeah.
we had Brandy, we had all that. It was just almost like, man, how do you even pick? You go to a store and it's like 10 major albums released. But then, did you may have been 5 or 6 or so when the 90s was really at its peak.
hmm
Did you get into any of that, or was
Yeah,
oh
because I had cousins. I hung out. My uncles were like not much older than me around that time. So they were like teenagers when I was a baby. So I took in a lot of their interests, and you want to feel grown when you're like 3, 4, 5 years old. So you're like, I'm hanging with my uncles who are like teenagers, and I'm listening to what they're listening to, and I'm dancing to what and they're like, they're pointing at me like, look at him, what he thinks he knows DMX, or
oh,
I
okay.
used to try to rap DMX, and they used to think it was so funny, but I was really preparing myself to do this music
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. But so when did you actually get into like when did you come of age where it's like you could recognize a particular artist, a couple of artists, and think, oh, well, I actually like what they're singing and stuff.
Oh, I mean, like definitely by like 6 or 7. I knew I loved Prince. I knew I
Wow.
loved Genuine. I knew I loved Aaliyah. I think Aaliyah was when I really was like, oh, like I want to. it started because I wanted to do music so I can be in close proximity so I can marry her. But then and then and then I'm like I loved Missy Elliott. I loved everything that came and was attached to Aaliyah growing up.
Wow. Why Aaliyah though? That's it's amazing because I don't know if because if I put up a poll and says, here's Aaliyah, here's Brandy, here's Monica, which of the albums were your favorite? Everyone tends to gravitate to Aaliyah, and I don't know if it's because she's passed or there was something
No,
special about
it
her
was like
vocals.
that when she was alive for me. It was how beautiful she was, the most beautiful woman I had ever seen in my life. And she was
Mm,
black. So I thought that was dope. And I think she had a super keen sense on her as herself as an individual
mm.
that was powerful. She was a girly girl, but she was a tomboy at the same time. So she had great skin and a beautiful smile. She was soft, but she also wore boxers, and it was kind of like, what's happening? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was just, and then she had these hard beats from Timbaland, but then this soft, airy voice just floating
yeah.
above the track, and she was very singular in everything that she did, and I just was inspired by her.
But she was also mysterious because she sometimes because she didn't. I think sometimes she use her hair to cover her eyes. So
Yeah,
yeah, she was almost mysterious, and yeah. So it seems because some of us I knew when she first came out with the age ain't nothing but a number, and and then when it transitioned into what Timbaland and Missy did, and it just felt like she was just growing and growing and stuff. So that
yeah.
was that
That
was
was my first, like, I gotta get close to her.
okay, okay.
Music industry, it is.
Wow. And
Mhm.
but then, apart from Aaliyah, then who were you seeing that you thought, okay, this is a style that you said genuine, but were there any other people that you thought, okay,
All of them really. Like I really loved Aaliyah. I loved Genuine. I loved um obviously I think everybody was a fan of Chris Brown. You know what I mean? Like Usher. Um those were like kind of like early on who I definitely wanted to like emulate.
yeah. And but then, how did you then turn the just okay? I'm singing in it's in church. Were you singing in school, or how did you start to progress with your singing?
I just started putting up my own original music, and then that's when I think
How old?
around 13 now. I'm putting up my own
Wow,
original music, yep, on YouTube.
wow,
And just off of necessity. I didn't know I was like a songwriter. I just kind of didn't have anyone to write songs for me. So I would do it. And my dad would always tell me, he's like, you have a gift of storytelling. But even growing up, when I would take like reading exams or like state exams, anything that involved literature, they would come back and be like, oh, they would tell my mom, like, your son scored in the top 10 percentile or the top 5 percentile in the state. And I would get
wow.
annoyed because I'm like, I hope they don't send me off to like nerd camp. So I would hide them from her because I just didn't. One time they sent me to like this science camp of like geniuses, and I was so bored. While all my friends got to go to the ratchet camp and have fun.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So
So
wow. So is this where your sort of gift of being able to put pen and paper,
yeah,
writing can we?
I've always had this weird ability, this weird relationship with like the English language, which is crazy because English is not even my first language. But I think I have seen studies that say that if like your first language is another language and you become an expert at something else, it just makes it that much easier and opens you up in a different way. So I think because French is my first language, that I find similarities, and then hearing Spanish and stuff like that around, in bits and pieces there. Um, I'm able to pull from different places with when it comes to literature, but I am it's a gift and a curse, I guess.
Yeah, and I was going to say that because when I've spoken to songwriters, they've spoken about it being a gift. Where I think Timmy Gatlin, who started Guy, talks about the lyrics would just come, and he would just he'll hear Teddy Riley make the beats, and all of a sudden the lyrics would come through, and I'm like, wow. And he says, look, it just came. It's a gift. So, and I guess if you have a super hips power, with the ADHD is that sense of being able to construct words and almost put them in particular
Yeah,
order and stuff like that.
exactly. And they come to me in my sleep. They come to me in the shower. You can't control it. It's just literally like you have to be available. Diane Warren told me. I asked her how she was able to be the most
Name
prolific
dropping
songwriter.
there. Yeah.
Right? The how she was able to be one of the most prolific songwriters of all time, and she says I showed up to my gift, and I said, what does that mean? She said, sometimes we think because they're gifts we don't have to like protect them or sharpen them or tune them. She was like, but I showed up to my piano every day for a certain amount of time, even if I didn't feel like it. I showed up and I wrote the song.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, but that's important to say that um, because the power of music and of what you're writing for those who are listening, it can make or break people.
yeah.
And if you've been given a gift to lift people up and to inspire, but then if it's not taken care of, because Diane writes a lot of good love songs and
Yeah,
writes a lot of stuff, so she understands that power.
yeah.
How have you had to nurture that gift and been mindful of what you're writing?
I just want to heal people now. To me, it's not with streams. It's not. There's not enough happening monetarily for me to gain from that perspective. But me helping somebody smile, laugh, save a life. That is the purpose for me, and I think that's what's coming through with this album, and that's why people are connecting to it. It's more now from a place of purpose as opposed to like competing or just wanting to just do it for numbers' sake. Me being independent now, I can kind of run from those expectations.
Yeah. When did you make that decision to really focus on uh,
As
doing
soon as
this?
I went independent, that was like a promise I made to myself that I would never be bound by that anymore.
Yeah, you talk about going independent because you started off. I mean, how did you get your break? Actually,
So from putting on original music online, some execs reached out to me and I did a development deal. And then after that, I signed to Def Jam, and I was there for quite some time. And then once I realized I wasn't necessarily like the product of like a major label, I had too much to say, and like I said, I'm very rebellious towards anyone telling me what to do.
yeah,
So now I'm in the space that I'm in now, and it's the best.
yeah. Did writing for others though? How was that a privilege or was that a upsetting that they take your songs and make up and you didn't have the success with your own songs at those early stages?
It was a privilege because I didn't want to be the starving artist, and I needed money. Fresh out high school, I needed money, and I'm just blessed that these artists that inspired me wanted to sing my songs, like Usher, Rihanna, Jordan Sparks, Keisha Cole, Chris Brown. Like I was, that's it's humbling, and it just reaffirmed my purpose of what I didn't want to say and what I did want to say when it was my turn. So no, it's a blessing, and I also feel like I got to get cheat codes from who else can be in a room with Usher and he plays them records that didn't make confessions and tells them why. I feel like I didn't go to college, but I technically did go to college because I went
Yeah.
to ministry college.
I mean, when he's recording, say, Climax, are you in the studio?
Yeah, I'm in the room. I'm in the room. Yeah, I'm in the room, and I even vocal produced that record. So
Okay.
hmm
Does it, but does it, is it intimidating or when does that come away and you can just feel as if, okay, this is just another guy, even though he's
so
sold millions?
not he, and definitely not just another guy, but I thank God for sometimes my aloofness because I just am happy to be alive and and I'm just blessed. So I never looked at it like, oh my God, like I'm in the room with Beyonce, or like it's almost like, oh, this is pretty dope. Like that's Beyonce over there. Like let's get to work. Like I know that certain people handle it differently, but I'm just grateful. If it was Prince, it'd probably be different. But like I'm just yeah. Yeah.
What about Kimberella? Because I saw how did that connection come about?
That is literally the craziest thing that's happening to me right now. But she's on the deluxe album. I'm a church boy, and I have been a fan of Kimberell, Karen Clark Sheard, Daryl Coley, B Slade for some time now. Like I'm just a church boy, and I had a song that I really well when I was coming back to doing this album. I wanted to just perfect everything, and I wanted someone to challenge me vocally. And I said I want to go to the best. So I reached out to Kim to start working with me on just my artistry and just taking my vocals to the next level. And we built a friendship, and I had a song on the project that um didn't make the original one because I didn't have as much of a connection to finish it as I did the other songs. But then with my one of my managers who recently passed, Kim prayed for me on the phone, and I was like, okay, I need this to find its way onto music form and be that to somebody else what you were to me when you prayed for me.
Wow.
Yeah, so
So,
she's on the deluxe that's coming out.
okay, so oh wow. So you've just dropped Elijah. Are you saying
Elijah Deluxe will be out
Elijah?
next Friday.
Okay, that is okay. What's
This
going to
is
be the
exclusive.
difference?
So on the original version, I didn't want to do any features just because I didn't want to confuse the message that I wanted to. It's a self-titled project. I want it to be about me and true to who I am and my story. But with the deluxe, I wanted to add perspective on what I was already saying. So I added a lot of female perspective in the conversation of relationship and love. It's all female features, and also things that, like I said, nuances of myself that make me who I am and separate me from some of the other R&B guys in my space. So, um, Kim Burrell being one of them, and the single we have now is Seven Streeter, and a couple more surprises.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess you said about you were the major and you made money with the writing and being with the major. How difficult is it being independent? Because that's what most of our guests have not experienced when everyone came from a label and that they took care of them. What's the difference today? Because you're in the studio right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And to me, I just think I'm blessed to be able to take the money that I've made from writing for other people and invest in some of my art. But it's kind of like a zoo for everybody now. No one knows what they're doing. Then you can see it with what's happening with the canceling of tours, with the album pushbacks, with labels dropping 40 artists at a time and then
wow.
dropping another 30 executives. There it seems to me like there's a purge happening in the music industry, and you just gotta stay true to what you do and what you love, and and I think the cream will still be standing when it's all said and done.
But then what do you do then? Because I know it's hard to do the promotion, the social media, the all that drive. Does that become a challenge to and not focus on the
Soon as
art?
TikTok became yeah, as soon as TikTok became a thing, it's been annoying. All you hear is content, content, content. And you kind of have to do it. You can't. It's a necessary evil. You can't get away from it, or people won't hear your music. So you just try to come up with creative ways that are true to you, that aren't super corny, but that you can get behind. But to get your music out there, because if you say you're not going to do it, then it's like, well, are you doing your music just to sit on your laptop or just for you, or do you want it to get to people? So you just try to come up with creative ways to get the art to the people.
Then what about the bread and butter being selling tickets? How hard is that and being on stage?
It varies for everybody, to be honest with you, but yeah, I had a show recently. I didn't know if people still wanted to hear from me, and they gave me like 3 days notice, and thankfully we sold out. But you
Wow.
just you just never know in this climate. It's everybody is, no one's safe.
But you've seen a lot of your legacy artists who you've idolized back in the day. They're doing big shows and being big tours. So there's an appetite for that. How do you then capitalize on what they've of the fact that they can do big shows, but the fact that you still have the creativity of putting out real good music? How do you marry the two?
You just try to do it to their level. You try to you look at the groundwork that was laid by the legends, and you try to make your music legendary and try to do it with that same level of integrity, and hopefully people react and respond in the same way.
But the collaboration. So if you collaborated with I don't know Brian McKnight or Coco from SWV, does that then almost say,
I don't
oh,
think so. I don't think so. I think that just kind of is, it becomes about the song. I think at the end of the day, it's the art. And yeah, if they could, I love SWV, but if they collaborated with somebody right now, I wouldn't go see that person just because of it. I would just want to see as those artists are even having a hard time doing their new songs because people are just kind of, they just want a piece of the nostalgia of it all, you know.
Yeah, I did like when I listened to the album. Call Me When You Get Here. Um, of course, Sugar and Lime and Best Friend. I think those jams were on the album. I enjoyed, and I think maybe it was just the vibe and things.
Yeah.
Are those parts of any changes with those ones we should check on the?
I can't say too much. You're already about to get me in trouble because they're yelling at me to get back in. So you're a troublemaker.
Yeah.
But I can't say too much about that. But yeah, you're onto something. I will say that.
Okay, okay. Well, I know that
Yeah.
you're in the studio, and I
Yeah.
know that you know, appreciated that you jumped on uh,
Yes.
uh,
Thank
uh,
you for
uh,
having me.
with this. But yeah, definitely. Once the Locks album is out, and we know about the features, well, we may have a chance when you have more time to be able to go in
Yeah.
more in depth with it and stuff.
I would love to do this again. I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Elijah, thank you for joining, and we definitely look out. You said next week Friday. Are we talking about
Next
the twenty
Friday,
fifth?
the 25th, we're
The
live.
25th. Okay. Well, I'll let you finish up the album, and we'll try and get you back.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Take
Yep.
care. Okay, guys. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine he's still in the studio, still working on the album, a deluxe version of the album, and yeah, we know Kim Burrell is going to be on there. He's in the studio with Jordan Sparks, so we can imagine that she's going to be on the album as well. So and Seventh Street as well. So Babyface did something similar. Um, 2 years ago, his last album, when he had a lot of female features. So it'll be interesting to see how this is. But we'll definitely be sure to get Elijah back after his album drops and have a lot more time to settle down and stuff. But definitely, guys, thanks for joining in. A lot more stuff coming through. Boogie Brewster, saw your comments. I know that Elijah was looking and seeing some of the things that you mentioned as well. But we'll get him. We'll definitely get him back. All right.